Namaskar friends. Thank you so very much for your amazing, stupendous response on my very first video in which I discussed my experience with Corona. Corona times are there, so of course there is a lot of despair. And today's discussion is actually on the same thing. Discontent, disappointment, conflicts, altercations. All these things are indispensable part of our lives. In fact, I will say that every living entity is rife with conflicts, both internal and external. Let me show you. Imagine you are a seasoned politician who have been Prime Minister, but now you are not. Conflict. If you are a new bride or mother-in-law, conflict. If your parking spot has been taken by someone else, big conflict. If your classmate doesn't agree to participate in mass bunk, conflict. If customer care doesn't pay heed to your qualms and concerns, conflict. If your girlfriend doesn't hear what you want to say, if your boyfriend doesn't want to hear what you want to say, if your parents don't want to hear what you want to say, conflict. Generation gap is the biggest example of conflict. Or I should rather say, what happens because of generation gap is the biggest example of conflict. You still don't believe me? Try closing your eyes and recall the last time when you abused someone internally or actually on his face. I'm sure it wasn't long ago. And you might not have done that jokingly. You see, after conflict, what happens? The usual response is either waiting for the other person to apologize to you and pump your ego, or you doing the same thing because you don't want to, miss out on the relationship with that person. But there are more people in this world who believe in prolonging the conflict. This video is dedicated to them because, believe it or not, you are tired and you want to get your mind off this craziness called anger. Who wants anger, right? It's an unnecessary expense of energy. In this video, we will be discussing on 3 aspects of conflicts. First, how it happens. Second, what havoc it causes in your life. And third, which is probably the most important, how to mitigate it. Rather, how to mitigate its ill effects. So let's start. First one. Conflict happens because of only one thing, aversion to change. If things are not going your way, there will be conflict. Before COVID times, I visited a unisex salon only to witness a lady who came there for some hair highlights, and became furious with hairdresser because her highlights were not identical to her sister's, who, by the way, visited the same hairdresser 3 days ago. I personally liked her highlights, but then who was I to meddle in? Conflict. Not accepting the change. Believing that things should be my way, even in certain instances where things just cannot be exactly the same that you believe in. Let's take another instance. Nature. Delhi's lethal level of pollution could not scare or motivate us to change for good. So Mother Nature expressed her discontent with the conflict called Corona. Isn't it? Whatever. China's sagacious action has at least helped the planet breathe well for at least a few decades. Otherwise, a blue sky in Delhi would still be more distant than making a time machine. Let's see what conflict does to us, which is our second agenda for today. Conflict, anger, altercation, all these things cause stress. We know that, isn't it? If conflict is prolonged, stress increases. We know that as well. Stress causes the production of adrenaline in your body. We know that also. What is adrenaline? It's a chemical when secreted in small amounts. It helps kindle the passion within. It takes you into fight or flight mode when death faces you. It enhances your enthusiasm and rush when you're competing with someone. But when it is produced frequently and for a longer time, it ruins you. This is what we don't know. How it ruins us. When you produce adrenaline frequently and for a longer time, you lose control of your emotions and your actions. Your immune system gets compromised, leaving you vulnerable to diseases along with making your recovery longer and difficult. Think carefully. Are you one of those who are always riddled with some or the other problems? Are you one of those who is taking some or the other medication, maybe a tablet once a few days for any small or big ailment? Are you visiting doctor too frequently? If the answer is yes, chances are that you are stressed because of something or the other. It could be financial, it could be because of your kids, it could be because of your parents. It could be because a conflict happened in your workplace or in your college or in your neighborhood, whatever. Adrenaline doesn't stop here. It goes on to disturb your sexual and love life. It reduces fertility. It increases anxiety. Sometimes you might have thought that, when you fiddle with pen like that, or you move your hands like that, or you move your legs like that, it is just that latent anxiety that is there within you. It promotes pain and discomfort in jaws and joints. It increases the propensity of cardiac disorders. It makes you fat. It rather makes you obese. It puts years on you. It makes you cynic and pessimistic by draining the passion from you. If you ever find yourself disinterested in the regularity, routine, and humdrums of life, think deeply, think heavily. You will realize that you are in perpetual conflict with someone or something. Sometimes it happens so much that we start loving our solitude. We start loving our problems. Isn't it? Isn't that the reason why we cannot digest it when we have been cheated? Now, I am not saying that you digest when you have been cheated. No, don't misconstrue that I am emphasizing on you becoming a coward. No, you don't have to run away. The sutra is save your mind at any cost. Because once you have control of your mental faculties, you can take corrective action that benefits you. Every war requires a unique strategy to win. Stress is the biggest war that a human has to fight. And the only option with you is to win it. So how to win it? This brings us to our third portion of the video. How to win over stress. There are only 2 steps. Only 2 steps. The first step is accepting people, situations, and the time of happening as they are. Wait and then take corrective action. I repeat, first you accept, then you act. This doesn't make you coward. This makes you the brainiac who wants to resolve the issues. Let's try to understand it with an example. Imagine you are a newlywed bride entered a different home for the first time. This is also going to be your home now, right? And maybe for the major part of your life, it is going to be your home. Your in-laws, say father, mother, sister, brother, all in all, there are around 5-6 people. And it is obvious that their ways will be different from yours. When you jump in the pond, waves are going to happen. Change is inevitable. However, to bring new changes that are favorable to all of you, you need to accept them as they are. What they do is the result of their experiences, their perceptions, their upbringing, their thought process acquired over time, and their own environment that they have been in. And what you do is the result of your life that you have lived, your perceptions that you have acquired over time, your upbringing, and your environment. Now, what happens when we accept things, when we accept people, when we accept situations before acting? Once you accept, you will start blaming the issues instead of the person whenever there is time of conflict. Every change is effected in its own sweet time. Accept that. A corrupt person will not stop taking bribes immediately. Imagine a male person from Saudi Arabia and he comes to America. He will find it very difficult to accept the liberty women enjoy in America, because in his country, women do not enjoy any liberty. It takes time to change it. But for that, once again, you need to accept the person and his situation. It is because of his upbringing, his environment, his country. He is in such a state that he cannot digest what is happening in America. Only when you are in his shoes, you know better how to transform him for good. And I'm not making these things on my own. Let me tell you, this technique is called appreciative inquiry. And this was defined, researched, and used extensively by Dr. David Cooper Ryder and Dr. Suresh Srivastava in the 1980s when they wanted to bring positive transformations in the organizations. So next time, when conflict strikes, accept and then act. Let me repeat, accept, then act. Don't do the other way around. It will backfire. The second way to win over stress is yoga. What is yoga? Yoga means summation. When your mind, body, and actions are in your control, that is called yoga. Once again, let's try to understand it scientifically. Think of the time when you are happy. I'm sure you have been happy, so you can think of that time, isn't it? When you are happy, your breath is smooth. It is flowing so easily. Rather, it's very deep. But when you are unhappy, or sad, or depressed, or anxious, or fearful, your breath is rough and bumpy. Sometimes you might have felt that there is extreme heaviness in the chest, like a needle is piercing through it. Happens? Oh, you are able to recall your times. Very good. In these cases, what happens? Either you blabber too much, you shout, or you just talk to yourself, or you become absolutely silent. Sometimes you hit yourself, sometimes you hit the other person, or sometimes you run away. Remember what I said earlier? Adrenaline is getting created. Your body is suffering. Your mind will take you to evil thoughts like suicide. Regular stress takes away the radiance from your face. Your face will become dull if you are stressed every day. You will become irritable. You will stop liking people. You will just judge each and everybody all the time. Just because you want things to be in a particular way. Think of it. Your mood changes your breath pattern. Similarly, changing the breath pattern deliberately will change your mood. It's that simple. Each body has a life force whose direction of motion defines the dominant emotions in you. So if you are stressed for a longer time, your life force energy will travel from head to base of your spine, which means downward. It will go downwards, which will result in jealousy, lust, lack of creativity, lethargy, inertia, sadness, and guilt. You will get frequent headaches. How does yoga help with this? Few activities will help you change the direction of your energy in the direction of from base of the spine to the top of head, which means your energy will go upwards. All you have to do is to change the flow of your energy and your job is done. And when that happens, love kindles. Tolerance and acceptance levels will rise. Enthusiasm will take place of despair. In studies or in job and even in your relationships, you would always be keen on learning something new. You will comprehend things very easily, very quickly. Creativity will improve and so will gratitude and focus. Your social circle will expand. Your headaches will subside. Your face will shine and you will have that unwavering smile on your face. So next time, when you get worked up, do some Anulom Vilom Pranayam with your eyes closed. It is also known as Nadi Shodhan Pranayam. Do this for around 5 minutes and then sit with your eyes closed for 2 to 3 minutes. What you have to do, you just have to change the direction of your energy and your job is done. And someday, if you get too worked up and you think that things are not going in your way, they are just going out of your hands, do 3 sets of 20 strokes of Bhastrika Pranayam. And then keep your eyes closed for another 2 to 3 minutes. You will hug yourself that your evil thoughts are not powerful anymore. And you were saved from committing a gruesome act of your distorted imagination. I will put the research details and the details of these pranayams in the description section. You can check it there. Everything, my dear, is dependent on your body. You know why? Because even though the decision maker is mind, the only thing that you have some control on is your body. Which means body is the only thing that you can use to control your mind. And that is the reason When we hear pep talks, we get excited, but that excitement remains only for some time, maybe few days. But we cannot keep up our enthusiasm for long, isn't it? But if we use our body, if we make a conscious effort to kick up our mind, every day with some or the other practices, breathing exercises, physical exercise, meditation, and whatnot, you will see that your mind will start becoming so wide, it will expand, it will transform. So why don't you promise this thing to yourself, that going forward, you will follow these 2 golden rules and live stress-free every day. Raise your hand if you are promising this thing to yourself. My dear, bring acceptance in your life. Bring yoga in yourself. I am very grateful to my dear friend and my college batchmate from IIM Calcutta, Mr. Khushpreet Saluja, and also to Mr. Ganesh Shankar, my dearest friend and career mentor post my MBA. Gratitude to them for inspiring me to make this video. Ganesh recently came out of dengue fever and is currently convalescing at his home. Get well soon, buddy. I would request all of you to leave a comment wishing him all the best, all the very well, so that he recovers quickly. I also would like to thank my wife, who is responsible for all the decoration that is there, because I don't know how to do all these things. So thank you so very much. Help me take this video to more people. Like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel. Until then, take deep, long, easy breaths and smile while you wait for the next video. Namaskar.